I'm going to call this meeting to order. And I know we have proof of notification. Cheryl emailed that out. So that moves us to agenda item number 3, which is agenda approval. And I have a motion for that.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
Motion by Caro, second by Severson. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Approval of previous minutes. I did want to say, I thought there were a couple of sentences that seemed like they were cut off on the minutes. Item number.
I saw that too.
Yeah, on item number 6 and then item number 8, the last sentences don't seem to be complete sentences.
Right. I also noticed that we didn't do anything on item number 8 or number 7 of our agenda, but maybe the minutes should actually say that, so it's not confusing to jump from 6 to 8.
Right. Do you see where we're talking about, Clint?
Not at the moment. Let me get them pulled up. I apologize here.
No problem.
Okay, underneath 6 and 8 we had. Oh, yep, we have I see that on item number 6 and 8. Yep, the last 2. And then with 7, I have to leave it in there and specify that no action was taken on 7.
I don't know how you typically do it. If you don't normally, that's fine. But if it looks better, I guess that would apply to number 9 as well.
Okay, I can make those amendments.
Okay, so with those amendments, can I have a motion for approval? I'll make that motion. I need a second.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, motion by Glassbrenner, second by Carol. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. So Carrie, just to kind of catch you up a little bit, I had Linda here briefly. She had emailed me with some items that she wanted us to discuss on UW Richland, which would really be a part of the actual strategic plan, not so much the work plan. So she's going to join us at our next meeting, and she couldn't, for some reason, well, you saw the email, but she couldn't email it, forward it to the rest of the committee members. So I'm going to forward that, and then she'll kind of talk about what it was she was wanting at our next meeting briefly. So that kind of has us skip over then number 5, because we don't have things to discuss for that right now. I think we can skip over number 6 as well. 7, I think we're complete on that. So then that moves us to item number 8. Like I mentioned before the meeting started, Melissa did send me the most current form of the plan, the work plan. So if we make some amendments, I'll try to, I don't have a double screen here, so I'm gonna have to minimize us, but I will try to put in what our edits are on the work plan. Clint, if you could actually pull it up though, we can kind of see where we're at. I believe we stopped. I think it was at prioritize service over staffing.
1 second, Madam Chair. I'll pull it up here in just
No
a
problem.
second.
Or maybe we didn't get to that one yet. I see in the minutes it said that we discussed reconvening on improved county identity and marketing. I know we'd also talked about having each of us go over what's already in the work plan and kind of figuring out if there were specific ones that you had comments on so that we don't have to go line by line. Were both of you able to review the work plan?
Most of my comments have to do with the capital facilities tab. The operations one, I feel like I've thrashed it about enough.
Okay. Hold on, I'm going to try to pull it up on my iPad too. Okay. Yeah, I think, Clint, it says that it's in the minutes, it says we discussed reconvening on the strategy right above where you're at right now. I know that we discussed website. I don't remember if we discussed the natural beauty recreational activities. Do you guys remember? I mean, I don't have any problem with either of those. So I'd be good with moving on unless you guys have a comment.
No comment here.
Okay. Carrie?
I don't have a comment at all. It looked fine to me.
Okay. So then that would put us down to on focus. We're prioritizing service over staffing. Yeah, I don't think I have too much. Do you guys do we want to go through each one individually, or since we reviewed it, shall we just hit the ones that you have comments on? I know not all of these have performance metrics would be the only thing.
Wait, we're still on operations tab?
Yeah.
Like I said, I feel like I'd already looked at it enough and had said my 2 cents on it.
Okay. All right. What about the part, or I guess when we look through this, the ones that don't have performance metrics, do we want to try to add those in currently, or wait until it's been assigned to a responsible party? For example, Clint, if you scroll down just a little bit there, it says create a total benefits program for employees that highlights total compensation and investment of the county and its employees, inclusive of salary, fringe benefits, wellness, and professional development. Clint, actually, maybe you can speak to that since you attend all the finance and personnel meetings. Have there been any, do we have any updates on this?
We're having discussion right now in regards to taking a look at paid benefit time off and trying to encourage or trying to see if we can facilitate essentially more of that on our schedule. And of course, we'll have compensations discussions as well coming up here in the very near future as we build towards 2023, as well as building our 5-year financial plan. So these 2 elements are in the works through finance and personnel from what I'll be bringing forward. Not sure if there's a grander vision to have something beyond that, but the conversations are going to happen.
Okay, so should we then, should we just make that performance metric similar to the ones that we have, like either process or project implemented, since you guys are already in discussion on that?
Yeah, I think that would be appropriate.
All right, so committee members, do you prefer project implemented or process implemented?
I guess
No
I can speak
here.
I can speak to
Yeah,
that too. I think probably process is maybe better than project. When I think of project, I think of a one-time thing, where process means it should be a reoccurring type of a thing.
Okay, already typed that in. We'll leave a performance target blank on that one.
Yeah. Madam Chair?
Yes, Steve.
Yeah. Now, I said I didn't really have any more comments, but I was mostly talking about just all the itemized actions that we're going through. But the rest of the spreadsheet where we have lots of blanks for responsible party, performance metric, and targets. We're not going to try to get those all now, are we?
Not the responsible parties. I know that as we were going through, we were trying to maybe come up with a performance metric. If there's a section though that we feel like we couldn't come up with something because we're not sure of the process, then I think we leave it blank for now.
Okay. I guess what I'm saying is there's a lot of discussion left if we're going to try to fill those out.
Right. No, we're not going to do all of that. I do just want to look at and kind of, I think Clint will be a good one to kind of update us on some of these I know are already in the works. And so then if that's the case, then it's an easy fix to just add in that we're already implementing it.
It's a living document.
Correct. So if we scroll down, because I don't think there's much else to, I didn't have a problem with any of the rest of those tactics in that strategy. If we scroll down to where it says improve transparency of county meetings. Clint, can you give us, I know that some of these things are already being, again, they're already in the process, but I know that there had been some difficulties with some boards that this might not be as easy. Can you give us any information on that?
We're talking about all the ones underneath improved transparency of the county meetings.
Yes.
Adoption of iPads for use by committees, boards with folders for all meetings. Right now, we only have those distributed out to county board supervisors. If we have citizen members or other types of folks that are on our committee that are not a county board supervisor, they currently don't have iPads right now. It's something that can be accommodated for, but it would come certainly at a cost that we'd have to consider. Addition of meeting materials for all meetings on the county website can be handled. Again, it comes then as a volume to have that pushed through the help desk ticket to get it incorporated into on the website, as well as then website space as a consideration. Can be done, but again, it comes at a cost of administrative added workload for MIS. Development of lister to automatically send agendas to the public and interested parties on a subscription basis. I'm assuming that that's the idea is like an automatic distribution type of a list via email is what I'm envisioning. And that's something we can do by behavior. Addition of records from county board and committee meetings on the website. We have the recordings that are going out that we have specified right now that we're recording are getting put on there. But again, it's not all of the meetings, and something again that we can do. But like our meetings now, it comes as an added expense and added consideration point for how much bandwidth we have with people time and resources.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I think in terms of the transparency, the only reason we're really doing these videos is primarily because of the COVID thing, which will eventually fade. But if we have our agendas and our minutes for all the meetings, and then of course we've been doing all the documents and attachments that each committee has looked at, to me that's pretty good transparency. I don't know if having videos for every single committee meeting adds enough to justify.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was muted. I know we had some of this discussion when we initially put those items in here. Administrator Langrick, am I correct in assuming that some of these things, I think that some of them, haven't they been discussed by rules and resolutions, or they would need to be?
That would be part of it. The other part of it too is if these arrive in a plan, how I visualize that it would happen is it certainly wouldn't be just an automatic, we're going to do this type of a thing. It's going to have to be a thing of through rules and resolutions to address it through our county board rules, through other types of policies as necessary. And then the other part of it is going to have to be incorporated into a budget process, saying these are strategic goals that we voted on. But at the same time, then through the budgeting, do we want to to fiscally prioritize them. Now, because it arrives in a strategic plan and we took a vote on it once, yes, that says it's a good idea. That certainly carries a lot more weight than just an idea coming out of right field. But again, it's going to have to still go through those hurdle processes, just like the other parts on this plan of, yes, it's a priority of ours, but can we do it with the resources and the people that we have to do it with? So I don't think any of them are bad ideas. Certainly standalone, it's just in the collection of everything that we have on this list, and then things that fall outside of this list. Are we going to be able to feasibly, reasonably, and financially accomplish those?
Right, and are they a top priority? So with that in mind, should we change these tactics then to something more like evaluate the adoption, or some?
I think that's I think that's a more reasonable approach, and you'll be able to evaluate the cost.
Okay, so I'm gonna just, unless Carrie, I don't know if you had anything to add, but I'm gonna just add to each of these tactics that we're going to evaluate each one.
May I add one thought just on that?
Yes.
The bit about distributing agendas and such to the public, that could be probably rolled in with your new website. A lot of county websites and even many more municipal websites will have a function where you can go to their agenda page and you can put in your email address and you can say, do you just want the agendas? Do you want the whole packet mailed to you? Do you want all the committees or what have you? So long as the clerks put that up, it'll automatically kick it out. So anyhow, my point is, it's possible that could just be rolled into your new website development.
Okay.
It'd be quite burdensome to try to email those out to whomever wants it, month after month. So.
And that would be under the one, evaluate the department or the development of a listserv. Maybe I'm going to just add a note in red. I'm sure that Melissa will clean this up later, but I'll add a note in red about potentially that being a part of the new website development. All right, any other comments on this section? Okay, if not, hold on one moment. I'm gonna finish adding this in really quick. Okay, then we will move down to invest in the education of county board supervisors.
Hey, Bob's here.
Oh, yay.
Apologize, sorry about that.
That's okay. Welcome to both of you. All right, so Bob, we are just kind of quickly going through the rest of the work plan because I know we had.
You just went muted, Ingrid.
I apologize.
No problem.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
So we are just kind of quickly going through the work plan because we had discussed at the last meeting everybody to read it and bring back any kind of comments you have. I am trying to go through though, like each section, and if there's parts where we haven't put in a performance metric to kind of look at what it is that we have. So we just discussed, we didn't do anything really different for prioritize service over staffing. And then the develop a culture of support for employees. We did not do much to that. We were just talking about the improved transparency of county meetings and the logistics of the tactics that we have there. So I added in on the work plan that we're evaluating those tactics because as Clint was pointing out, many of them, there's some either with logistics or finances, we would need to look at, the prioritization of them or the feasibility. So that's what we did on that section. So I'm not going to, at this point, put in performance metrics. So that moves us down to invest in education of county board supervisors. I didn't really have anything to add on that one. I felt like, we've got performance metrics on all of those. I think all of those are great. The only one we'd added in was the economic development presentation to the board. that was the only thing in red that we'd added in after the initial. So any thoughts on any of those?
No, I think they're already implemented in the, for the most part, from my view of it. So, performance metric for the red.
Yeah, that would be, I guess, just the presentation. I don't know what a
Yeah,
performance.
I was gonna. So is it a presentation? Is it going to be done annually, quarterly? Is there some performance measure we can make a little tighter to say how often, or some type of? If you do it once every 5 years, what's the point?
Maybe it would be, I mean, I think it's for the education of county board supervisors. So I'm assuming every time we
Oh,
have
good point.
a switch. So maybe, what would you call that, biannually? Is that
We
right?
have only
I always
election.
get that mixed up.
We have elections.
Biannually means every 2 years, right?
Yeah, but we may have new supervisors that come in on a regular basis too.
That's true.
Okay, yeah, good point. Is just for the new ones. So even if we just have the metrics, a presentation, even for just the new ones. I know social service does that for new people coming in midterm. They'll still sit down with them and go over it. Is that reasonable?
Yeah, and I mean, we would have to talk again with the red board if they're willing to do this. I assume they would be. Maybe a performance metric can be presentation offered to new board members.
Sure.
This is Troy again. May I?
Yeah, please.
The regional economic developers at the 6 county area in Southwest Wisconsin are planning to do this. We're going to see a wave of turnover at the elected official level. And so we've talked about regional planning, Prosperity Southwest, and the local economic developers doing maybe a 2-hour, we're trying to fuss with the agenda, but a 2-hour lunch and learn, community and economic development 101 for new elected officials. Of course, anybody's welcome. And we're hoping to move that around the region this summer. And then at a minimum after every election as an educational component. So I don't know if that factors in here or if you want to suggest your partner, but we would never come into Richland County and talk about that without Jason and Marty and whomever at the table. So that's our intention.
Now, would that be something where you would come physically to the county, or are you offering this via virtual?
No, we'd probably come, depending on the county's appetite with COVID, we'd probably prefer to come and buy lunch. We've got some revenue to do that. It'll help people show up. You know what I mean?
Right. And you're
Everybody's got
saying
to eat
that.
lunch.
So your hope is to do that for every time that there's an election, just like we were saying.
Yeah. We're trying to get it off the ground. We're going to start in Iowa County just because they've got 50+% turnover. They're projecting, and their extension agent's very interested in this. So we're going to kind of try to pilot it there and then move it around the counties. It'll probably look a little different in each county, so we can focus on the differences among counties. But I don't know how that influences this. I just wanted to put that on the table, that we'll be there.
Yeah, that's great. So I'm adding in that as a note under the tactic as well. Yeah, go ahead, Carrie.
How is that different, Troy, than the county officials workshop that the Wisconsin Counties Association puts on?
It's a good question, Carrie. I thought that was governance, government, Robert's rules, the role of the county as the arm of the state, and so forth. I thought. I could be mistaken. We really want to talk. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to clarify. You were mentioning that it was more on this line, what we had here, correct?
Yeah, the one that's on red on the screen there. What we bump into, Carrie, and when I came on board at regional planning, I kind of get snot kicked out of me at a couple of counties, and it was fair. Grant County Board County Chair, both of them asked, okay, Troy, I'm funding extension, I'm funding Grant County Economic Development, I'm funding workforce development. We got chambers and main streets. Why are you saying that you do community and economic development? And it was a very good question. And so that's what we're hoping to address, is to get folks to know that there's like a network of very different and complementary folks who are filling this need. And what is community economic development? Who's at the table, the organizations, some brief data about what informs our work, funding opportunities, and success stories. So it will be kind of big picture, round one. To be candid, we want to see what sticks with the local communities. But I think that that's different, Carrie, than the county stuff. But I've not attended those county ones. I've just seen some agendas.
Madam Chair,
Mm-hmm.
my experience doing the WCA virtual one recently kind of matches what Troy is saying, in that was more focused on the statute-driven things that counties do, and Robert's rules and those kinds of things. Not so much the regional resources and economical things that Troy works on. So I think
Right.
they're both different elements.
Yeah, and I think that it's really important that we start talking about these and offering that. So thank you, Troy. I didn't know that you guys are doing that. That would be awesome. So I did enter that in as a note on there. So beyond that, any comments on that section? Okay, that brings us down to deepen staff training in leadership and management. So for the first one there, and I think that's fine. The next two, I feel like those, I'm not sure exactly how we, and I know that we don't have to know this exactly, but I guess, do you guys have any idea of how this would work or any thoughts on that? And what I mean is the educates employees on how government works, the need for teamwork and partnership within county departments, and then the one right below that where it says create a culture of sharing information and learning from peer counties. I think these are both really great, but practically speaking, how does that look?
Yeah, is it almost a new employee training? It's almost an HR function for some of that, and I don't know that we are at that point.
This honestly would probably fall kind of to Clint to figure out how departments, whether that goes department by department or if it's at a county level to all departments. I don't know. Did you have any thoughts on that, Clint? Do you want us to change the wording or thoughts on targets there or metrics? I mean,
Again, I guess I'd kind of see it as a thing where they're all really good ideas, but like Bob kind of mentioned, without us having a huge bandwidth for HR and for developmental type of a training, and on top of that, then having money set aside to deliver the training, it does become a challenge for us. It could be something too where, again, maybe we, rather than a metrics of process and implement, we look at evaluate different options we have, and feasibility study on how we can implement it. Again, they're all really good things, and I don't want to take away and say we shouldn't be doing them, because they're kind of very, very good kind of pure things that we should be doing, kind of concrete foundational types of things. It's just fitting it into the plate of all the other good ideas poses a challenge. I think it's appropriate to leave them on here. I guess I'll leave it at that. The one note on build it into a 2023 budget is, I think, kind of resonates on a good idea of make sure that you have things set aside for it.
for the, you're talking about for the first one in that section?
Yeah, the same type of a mindset on if we can fit it into future years and budget for it accordingly and plan for it accordingly, it becomes more feasible than trying to drop everything that's going on right now to implement them.
Okay, and I would assume that your thoughts would be similar then on the ongoing training or education targeted at the evaluation, adoption, and implementation of a new technology. It's two down from that.
Yep, it's kind of all in the same realm of, I think they're
Okay.
really good ideas. It's just prioritizing them and fitting them into existing loads and existing budgets becomes a challenge.
Okay, so what I did for now was I just put in the evaluate options and feasibility on the process for those. And like Steve has already mentioned, this is a living document. We can come back to it. And so moving down then, on the work plan that Melissa emailed to me, she put a note under the one that says investigate options for diversity, equity, and inclusion training and make recommendations. She said, her note says, see article in WCA magazine, January 2022, liability issues for county if we don't have this training in place and there's a sexual harassment or discrimination case brought against the county. I did actually look through that, that magazine. I didn't see exactly what she was talking about. I saw where they had, I saw where they had some advertisements for the training, but I didn't see what she was speaking or referencing as far as the liability. So maybe at next meeting, she can speak more to that. I still think this is appropriate as far as leaving it as investigating, because similar to the rest of these, we need to look at the feasibility and budget and all of those things. So at this point, I wouldn't change it unless you guys have any difference of opinions.
I guess my only thought on a performance metric, we want to look at how other state, county agencies are doing it.
Sure, I'll put that in there.
We may not do it, but at least we have some idea what they're, maybe there's a company out there that just does it for $10 an employee or something. I don't know. I'm just.
Right. So I'll add that in. Look into how other county state agencies are offering this training and cost. Okay. We can always change that too at later if we need to. All right, so that kind of brings us to the bottom here. I know I'm not exactly sure. I think these were just notes down here. So Melissa also emailed, let me hold on a second and I'll see if I can pull that up. As far as relating to environmental, and I think it was up further on the work plan. I'm sorry, I have to scroll through various things here. Oh, where it says engage in decision-making that considers environmental impacts. She emailed a list of ideas for that tactic because she had said she'd look into it. Clint, I know she included you on that email. Are you able to pull up her list or not?
Let me see if I can track it down. 1 second, Madam Chair.
Okay. It's some really good ideas. I could just read a few of them. I don't think that it's something that we have to stick in there. I just think when this goes forward to how are we going to do this, it's good ideas. Clint, if you can't pull that up, I don't think it's a big deal. It's got things like, for example, turning thermostat down in the winter, closing curtains at night to stop heat escaping, switch to energy saving LED light bulbs, etc. So I just think we'll just include that on there, that we've got that list when we move forward to implementing this. So I'm going to add in see list of ideas under that tactic. Okay. Any other comments on any of this before we move to the next section on here?
Madam Chair, again, sorry for keep piping in. Oops.
No, please. That's why we want you here, Troy.
Sure. One of the things, and I don't know if this will work on your end or not, that's why I was going to hesitate to share, but one of the things we do here, we send folks to conferences, and I try to strike a balance between letting them engage in their own professional development, but also guiding them to figure out what's best for the organization. So we'll sit down and we'll look at an agenda before they go. That may be one tactic to use for some of these ongoing training things, is if you have someone going to the Wisconsin County Code Association or the Badger State Sheriffs or the Land and Water Conservation Association conference or what have you, either the department head sits down with them or somebody sits down with the department head to say, okay, here's where we're going as a county. We know there's potentially options for new technology. We know there's professional development, budget training. Can you look at the agenda and tell me if there's stuff in that training that you can bring back and share with us? It's kind of a low-hanging bar, costs you nothing except a little bit of time to be aware of what they're learning when they're out there. Often at these trainings, there is that sort of track where you learn about land and water programs, and you learn about new state statutes, but there's also some professional development type stuff. So that may be an option too, depending on how the various agendas for those conferences that your folks attend, depending on how they're developed. It could be something just kind of a low hanging fruit to see what's on those various conference agendas to help inform your staff.
So you mean like when someone attends, they would bring back information to distribute and educate other people?
Yeah.
That
So
what-
yeah. So the department head would sit with staff before staff goes to a conference and say, okay, the county's told us we need to use technology better. Let's look at this agenda and see if there's something you can,
Okay.
what have you. So,
Yeah, at
those kind of
my
things.
workplace, we do similar for continuing education. It's actually a requirement that you bring back what
Yeah.
you learned and share that. So yeah, I think that's a great idea. I'll add in a little note here on that. Okay, so that I think takes us to the capital facilities. And Steve, I know you said you had some comments on that.
Yes.
Okay, so Clint, if you could pull up that tab for us, thank you. Take it away, Steve.
Okay. I think I mentioned this at another meeting, but when we were doing all this work with Troy to create this document, you know, he was listening to us and identifying these big potential capital concerns coming up, and he that's what these are primarily, is things he heard and knew about Richland County. So he wanted to get those on this document. But I just want to make sure we know that we have a lot of other infrastructure that the county owns that we need to identify and recognize it has to be assessed also, and its ongoing maintenance and cost and all those implications. So I would like to see some way of mentioning that, or even trying to list the rest of them, so that we don't think once we're done with this list on this sheet, we're done. So that's my general comment.
So Steve, are you kind of referencing, because we did put into the actual strategic plan itself under this chapter 3, which is capital facilities, which I think this tab on the work plan corresponds to. We did include that we're planning for a comprehensive plan, facilities plan, that would include an inventory of the existing capital facilities owned by the county, a forecast of the future needs, etc. So I feel like, because that was kind of our disclaimer, that we know that this is not a full list and that that's going to require more time and effort. And so we have a plan to go forward and do that, or to develop that plan. Is that what you're referencing?
Oh, yes, we flagged it that way, but I'm just saying, even here, we should do something that
Put something in here.
that. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to just see if I can. Because this does, okay, so we have county jail, radio towers, emergency services, highway improvement, UW, Simons Airport, and Pine Valley. I'm gonna see if I can add a little note here. I think I'll just, don't want to mess up Melissa's beautiful work plan. So I think what I'll do is when I email her about this meeting and the edits that I've made, because I'm sure she'll go back and listen and fix it, I'll just mention to her that, so you would like something similar to what we have in the actual plan on this document that just kind of states this is not a comprehensive list?
Correct. And then again, ideally in the future, we really would eventually fill out and list every single facility we have, so that it's a comprehensive view of everything.
Okay.
But I agree, we can't get that all in there now, but at least something to flag on the work plan itself, flag that it's just the high spots at this point.
Okay. Carrie or Bob, did you have anything you wanted to say about this section of it?
Well, looking through this, I see the statutory ones, and then I see the discretionary. I don't see the county parks or the county lands on here at all. Is there a reason that was not included? I see Pine Valley Manor, Tri-County, Simons, UW. Am I missing?
I think that it's,
Madam Chair.
go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, that's exactly an example of what I'm talking about. All the county parks, the fairgrounds, all these other things that we have, you know, that we own or have financial connections need to be identified at some point. Again, Troy just tried to capture some of the big stuff he heard us saying when we did this exercise months ago, and so that's why this list has on it what it does. So parks is a good example. Eventually, we need to have those on here.
Yeah, I agree. And Troy can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think, so for example, this part of this was taken directly from the strategic plan, and the strategic plan was only focusing, from my impression, on the capital facilities that were seen as kind of the economic priority, you know, what's going to affect our current budget issues, what we need to really address in the next short term for the strategic plan. It doesn't mean that it's a comprehensive list. And that's why we put in that disclaimer, because for the strategic plan purposes, I think we were highlighting the ones that we really needed to take a look at budget wise, but that doesn't mean that we don't want to have a list of the rest of them. Was there someone trying to speak and I cut them off? Okay, and so like I said, Troy, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was my impression for this list.
Yeah, that's that's accurate. It would have been hard and probably not too productive to try to understand every asset, you know, in that meeting. So we tried
Right.
to focus on the big expenditures, but I think Steve's got a great point too, is holistically looking at these things.
Okay, so we will add in a little disclaimer similar to the plan, or the one in the plan for next, on to that work plan section. Okay, well, we kind of zipped right through that. I think the biggest elephant in the room still, if we're looking at the agenda, is going back. I feel like as far as the strategic plan, finalizing that in order to be able to present this, because we want to present it this month at the March 15th meeting. I think the biggest thing is that we still haven't shored up our mission and vision statement. I know Sean had mentioned trying to rework what he had come, and I did email. I actually thought I emailed him like a week or two ago, and I just checked this morning, and I did one of those things where you think you sent it and it's in your drafts. So I sent it to him again, and I'm going to follow up with him and actually see if you guys would like, if he'd want to either send that to all of us or actually come to our next meeting. But I don't know if you guys have more thoughts. If you want to look at that, we've got some time. It's only 1:30. If you'd like to look at those one more time, I still kind of think we probably don't want to take all of, I think we have 4 for each right now listed. We probably don't want to take all of that to our board meeting and say, hey, here's our strategic plan. Here are 4 options each for the mission and vision statement.
Let's just pull them up. Let's just pull them up for a little bit, just to refresh our memory on. It's been a while since I've looked at them.
Okay, so they're in section 1, Clint, if you're able to pull that up. I mean, to be honest, I'm a little torn about it because the organizational part of me does not want to bring a plan to the county board where it's left open-ended on those. On the other hand, because we've been saying that I believe at our last discussion, that we felt like these should really reflect our county board's mission and vision, you know, not just specifically for the strategic plan. That makes it a little harder for me to say, okay, our tiny little board here is going to figure out which is our, even though I know that we based it on the broader survey of county board members, it feels more weighty when we say it that way. So I'm a little torn between us just deciding or figuring out some better way of doing this.
Maybe, let me ask you this, what do we feel our agenda is for our next meeting? Maybe we try to come to that decision and try to,
Yeah,
make sure-
for the next meeting, there really shouldn't be too much, because really all we're doing is we're going back, and I'm gonna, like I said, email Melissa and have her look at the edits that I made and put in anything else that she thought we missed. And then it would really just be a quick overview. If she can even email that to us before the meeting, we can just quickly look at that. And, which is a lot to ask since she's coming back on the 4th, but we only made a couple of edits today, so it's not a lot. So it's really just looking back through, making sure that we're happy with where it's at, and then going forward to how are we going to present this to the board? You know, are we gonna do this in a presentation of some sort? So all that to say, yes, I think we would have time to discuss this again. However, we've discussed this at multiple meetings for a long time and have struggled to come to any kind of conclusion. So.
So Madam Chair, if I understand, make sure I understand this. Ideally, we would love to have a single mission that we've all agreed with and a single vision, and then present that as part of the document. Is that what we're hoping we can do?
Well, I mean, ideally, I think that'd be good, but I don't know if that's feasible. Go ahead, Bob.
I was just agreeing, that would be the nice thing to do, that this group has brought forward something. If people want to suggest changes at that point, that's fine, but I would agree having a, I know sometimes at the state, we bring two options so they can look and discuss a couple of ideas. But they've both been honed down pretty carefully to make sure that it doesn't go on into a 2-hour discussion. So if need be, it would, but I would like to see one of each. I think you could, I'm just going through now trying to combine ideas.
Do you think that there's any, when we're looking at them now, that we could actually just eliminate? I mean, I feel like that's first step if we can't pick one good one, to eliminate the ones we
Yeah.
don't like.
I'm looking at the mission statements now. Item number 2 of the 3, item number 2 to me is the weakest.
Yeah, I don't like that the first thing it says is talking about the tax base. I don't think that's necessarily what we want to present as our focus.
Yeah.
Pretty clinical.
It is. And
Yeah, if
I
it was
guess
me, I'd scratch too if it was me. I think the other one even kind of encompass that as it is.
I mean, for that matter, even 3 starts off talking about fiscally, which I get is really a lot of what we're concerned about. But I think that's why I've always leaned towards 1, which I know was the original one that Troy had put together, I believe. I don't remember if we tweaked it a little bit or not. But the thing that I like about that is that the first focus is on the future and strategies, not on bottom line being money, even though it does include that in.
I think some of this is, again, on each of these, we were struggling to come to a compromise. So some of them kind of ended up with a word salad where we threw in terms that different people liked. So yeah, we need to strike a balance with not being too focused on money and yet acknowledging the reality of limits.
So with that being said, I mean, like I said, the reason why I like number 1 is because I don't feel like its main focus or the thing that jumps out at you is tax base or fiscal, etc. Even though we are talking about that, I do think, even though the last statement is lovely, if we're trying to make it shorter and more concise, which honestly was overwhelmingly the feedback that we got back, was that our mission and vision statements were way too wordy. I think we could cut that last one, that last sentence, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Vital community sentence.
Right.
Yeah,
Not that I don't think it's important, but I don't think we have to state that in our mission statement. And I mean, I'm not married to that idea. It's just if we're trying to make it more concise, that was my thought.
Yeah, if number one was the one we were trying to clean up to present, I would agree that last sentence is kind of embellishing more than just the mission.
And so for vision, I feel similarly about number one there as opposed to number 2 and 3, not because they're bad, but because if you look at the way the sentence structure is, both of them, the first part of it is focused on local economy. So when you're reading the sentence, that's the first thing that pops out at you, as opposed to number one, the way the sentence is grammatically put together. Your focus is Richland County being a leader and resilience, and I like that.
If I can real quick to the mission, the first mission statement, pulling that last sentence. As I read through it, I really agree pulling that last sentence, because providing a venue for citizens who care. So we're saying that there's citizens who don't care?
And then we don't care about their contribution if they don't care.
Exactly, yeah. I'm just reviewing that. Yeah, that sentence got to go in my book.
Okay. So maybe I'm going to just make myself a couple of notes and we could discuss this more next time. Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, I want to hear Carrie's thoughts on this. He's being pretty quiet.
I'm fine with number one, and I do agree with what Bob was saying about, you know, the citizens who care. You know, I think everybody cares, but I'm not too big on the mission and vision type of thing. That's just not my thing.
Okay, got it.
Okay, so maybe we could consider having number one be a viable option if we cut that last sentence. We can wait until Melissa's here to finalize our vote on that, but I'll put that in as notes. Troy or Clint, do you have any comments on that?
This is Clint. I do not.
Do you like or dislike?
This is Clint again. I'm fine with that being a mission type statement. I think with the understanding of all the other strategic plan language that we have in place in the work plan, that's really where my marching orders are going to come from.
Do you feel that it kind of reflects what we were trying to accomplish within the strategic plan? Although I know we said that it wasn't just a mission for the strategic plan.
Yeah, I agree. Your mission statement is certainly is community type focus, which is not a bad thing, because obviously, like we discussed time and time again, it's like we're trying to get more community impact focus, but we understand that internally on how to structure ourselves is kind of the first phase on getting there. So I think it's okay.
Okay. Troy, I'm assuming you're okay with it because I think that was the first one that you came up with, correct?
Yeah, I think Melissa had drafted. The only question I had, I know Sean had brought forth some a couple meetings back.
He did.
If that was, have that gone anywhere? And
So that was what I commented, where I thought I had sent him an email and it had ended up in my drafts folder. So I do plan on talking with him before our next meeting. And if we narrow these down and then he wants to bring something, perhaps we can just vote on either of those and call it good. So, all right, guys, looking at vision then. I guess I kind of already told you why I like number one the best. But if you guys please let me know what you think. These are, okay, I will say these three are way shorter than the one that we ended up on that's up higher in the document. That is a very large mouthful, which to be honest, I've never loved. I know none of us did. He's got these three up, so I'll just read the one that we had decided on, air quotes here. It was Richland County's 10-year vision is to continue enhancements to the structure of the county organization, ensure the fiscal solvency of operations, and develop accepted processes of evaluating and prioritizing services. Through these efforts, Richland County hopes to help lead the community in 1, identifying problems appropriate for government intervention or services, 2, facilitating public vision discussions and collaborations to solve problems, and 3, engaging with stakeholders on outcomes that benefit future generations. This vision is built on the understanding of balancing the dreams and possibilities of the future with the realities of the present. So that was one we kind of landed on. If you could scroll back down to the other 3. They're obviously much shorter since they're 1 sentence apiece.
Yeah, again, I think it's the one we did. We were trying to throw in words to make everyone happy, and it just got too big.
It is. I mean, it's my issue with it is it's like too much for people to even. I kind of agree with the feedback where we got where mission and vision should not be that big in my mind. It's a lot for somebody to try to comprehend when you're reading it, and it becomes then ineffective.
Yeah, and looking at the one up farther, the Richland County's 10-year vision. So 5 years into it, we're looking at the next 10 years. Yeah, I don't like the time frame setting on a vision. I don't think that's that's what the plan is for. That's what setting priorities is for. So yeah, there's some things in there I think need to be taken out.
Yeah. Madam Chair, down on the brief, the shorter visions, if items, or I mean numbers 2 and 3, if we change the wording from to achieve a resilient local economy, blah blah blah, what if we just said achieve a resilient local community where housing, jobs, and population and so on? That again, maybe that makes it broader than just the dollar part of things.
Yeah, that's an option. I guess my question is, and I know we had a discussion a while back about what a mission or a vision should be in comparison to the other, and I've kind of forgotten what we landed on. But when I think vision, I do feel like the first one is more visionary in the fact that it's not as detailed, but I guess I kind of feel like it's not what a vision is. I mean, the details come into how you're going to work out that vision. And I think that was the problem that we ran into when we did that lengthier vision, is that it just becomes way too detail oriented.
Yeah, I don't know. I lean towards 2 or 3 myself, and adding just a little bit more meat on the bones of it.
Well, Bob or Carrie?
I just threw out my question to myself as I was thinking here. If I could give 3 words that would describe what vision I want to see for Richland County. If I could come up with 3 words, what were those 3 words? And so in just a quick blip, my 3 words were growth, safety, and supportive. And I guess I just ask everybody to take, what 3 words hit you when you see the vision of Richland County? And if those words meet that, then I think we're really close.
What were your 3 words again?
Growth, whether that's population, finances, whatever. Safety, safe community, and then a supportive community that supports and works amongst themselves.
And I do have down what Sean had shared. So he had a little bit lengthier for mission, but for vision, he just had a revitalized Richland County. And that was his suggestion. I know we had some discussion on what are the connotations of saying revitalized versus other terminology. But those are some thoughts. Well, Bob, maybe you'd want to, not to tell you what to do, but maybe you'd want to look at these 3 and see if there's a way to incorporate what you're saying into kind of what we've got here. Because I know that Troy based what we have on our initial meetings when we had talked about these and how people kind of felt about the mission and vision. I think
Okay.
what you said is good, but maybe they can be incorporated.
Yeah, and those are just the 3 words that came up. And yeah, I'd like to look at those, and I guess any of the other committee members shoot me an email. What are your 3 words?
Okay.
When
That
you
sounds
think of the
good.
vision of Richland County, what are your 3 words?
Okay, I'll mention that to Melissa too. That
Yeah.
maybe she can send that to you.
Just as a thought, it didn't, you know.
I can do that.
Troy, when we did this originally, when we did the vision, I'm trying to remember. I know you had us go through various like activities or whatever to figure this out. What did you base our vision on? Do you remember?
Yeah, I think Melissa wrote the initial visions. But what we did is try to
Oh, so
generate-
you did the mission and she did the vision?
I believe she did both. Candidly,
Oh, I'm
as an
sorry if
outside
I've been
no, it's okay. As an outside consultant, I try not to write your vision and mission. You know, I want folks to kind of wrestle with that because I don't live in your community. Some of the parameters, though, is that the mission's the reason you were created. And should all of you turn away and leave county government, will that stay? Should state laws change, is the purpose for which you were created as a county still exists? And of course, the vision then is how you want that, because let's say you were created in 18, I don't know what, as a county. How you conduct yourselves then is going to be different than what year are we in? 2030. What is, how do you want to conduct yourself? How do you want the world to see you in 2030 versus, 18, whenever you were created? I don't know. But so that's a vision, right? Is who you're going to be when you grow up, so to speak. And we're always, as communities, always growing. Well, we're not always growing, but hopefully we are. Does
Okay.
that make sense? Did I ramble too much?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay. All right. So I will mention that to Melissa and those of you that are here, if you can send your 3 words and think about what he just said. Keeping our mission in mind, which I think, if we just look at those 3 that we have there, we've kind of stated what we think our mission is. How do we want to be? Sorry, I'm going to butcher what you just said, Troy. Can you say one more time what our vision should look like?
You're on mute, Troy.
Don't lose it. You're on mute. Keep the thought in mind.
What I just said was brilliant, visionary. I forgot.
I know. I was
tell
worried
you.
about that.
It's I like to joke, it's what you want to be or who you want to be when you grow up. No different
Okay.
than looking at your kids, candidly. And your county's 100 and some years old, but it's always going to evolve. Its mission of delivering the arm of the state sort of services won't change, but the way you conduct your business will. Maybe if your revenue grows, the new initiatives you can get involved could grow. Maybe you have to cut some back if they're not needed, those sort of things.
Okay. So I think the only other thing to discuss, and I don't know actually if we can really discuss this, so maybe this is more of a future agenda item since it's not specifically on the agenda. I should have thought in advance enough. The time frame has really caught up to me here. I should have thought to add, I'd like to discuss how we want this presented to the county board. I mean, obviously, I think we need to email this out prior or have it in the packet prior to the meeting so that people can look through it. But, did we want to have some sort of slideshow presentation or just a brief overview of what we've done, that kind of thing? So I would like to discuss that. Hopefully that's not going to get us too into the weeds if we discuss that next time. I don't want to create another work project that somebody has to do in order to present. So we'll have to try to keep it simple. But I'll add that for the agenda next time. Does anyone have any other things? Because we're really kind of finalizing here. So what we have on the agenda right now, if you could you pull that back up, Clint, for me, please?
While he's doing that, Madam Chair,
Yes,
can I ask, what's
Yeah.
the date of that county board meeting?
Yeah, it's the
15th.
15th,
I'm sorry?
the March 15th at 7 p.m.
Thank you.
Mhm. So, Clint, I'll have you, I'm trying to think how to word it, an agenda item related to how we're going to present this to the county board. But,
Presenting and educating the county board.
yay, that sounds good. Anything else you guys think we need to add as we're finalizing here?
You mean for next week's agenda?
Correct.
I don't know. Are we still thinking we might have to review and figure out whether we can incorporate Sean's input and Linda's?
So I think both of those are covered under agenda item number 5, because it would be amendments to the strategic plan, which, by the way, Bob, you weren't here for that. Linda had emailed me, I'm going to forward it to you, about something related to the campus that she would like to see included in the plan. So I actually invited her to just share briefly because I felt like it was easier than trying to explain what she was trying to explain. So she's going to share briefly at our next meeting what she wanted, and then we can have discussion on whether or not we want to put that in. But yeah, I think we're covered on that, Steve. Thanks.
Okay.
Okay, so if no one has it, oh, go ahead, Bob.
That
Or
was
was that
Troy.
Troy?
Yeah,
Sorry.
the mention of the meeting next week. Sorry, what is the meeting next week?
That's what we're going to talk about next. So what I think before the meeting started, we were kind of briefly throwing around dates. So Bob and Carrie, we had kind of landed on trying to shoot for Tuesday the 8th. Would that date work for you guys? And Troy, does that work for you?
I have all afternoon free.
You're muted.
Bob, you're
Works for
muted.
me. That'll work for
Okay.
me.
Carrie?
Don't matter.
Okay. All right. So the only one I'd really like for us all to be able to be there. So we could put that down. I am going to check with Melissa. If it doesn't work for her, I'm going to try to adjust probably to Wednesday. Do we have any so we're going to go with Tuesday. If that doesn't work, we'll look at Wednesday. Would you guys have any conflicts with Wednesday?
I
Make it
prefer
work, whatever.
Wednesdays.
Sorry. Go ahead, Carrie. What did you say?
I just prefer Wednesdays over anything, but I usually can make stuff work.
Okay. I'm trying to shoot earlier in the week just to give us a little leeway if we have some sort of issue come up, because we're down to the wire. So if you don't mind making an exception for Tuesday one more time.
The other part of it, Madam Chair, is we'll plan on distributing packets out to the county board.
What
no
was that?
later than the packets to go out to the county board in preparation for the meeting. They'll go out on the 9th. So if we do our meeting on the if we do our meeting on the 8th, then we'll be able to get those kind of distributed along with the agenda. Now, if it arrives in there late, Madam Chair, it's all electric, so I mean it dropped in the folder and we'll be able to put it in. It's just that there's a couple of supervisors that still request their packets in paper, so they may not see them for the night.
Okay. Well, there's another good reason then to make it the 8th. So we're going to try to make that work. Does the 12:30 time work okay? I kind of like having that little extra leeway for time. I mean, I know we're ending early today. Does that still work for you guys?
Yep.
Clint, how about you?
Yep, that will work, Madam Chair.
Okay. And I believe, Barb, you had already mentioned that you guys are free. Ish. I think she said that, correct, Clint?
Yes, I believe they were available.
Okay, so then that means we'll have our last-ish meeting before the county board on the 8th at 12:30. And we'll do that via WebEx again. Okay. All right. Well, if nobody has anything further, then I think we can move to adjournment, item number 10.
I move that we adjourn.
A second.
Okay. So motion by Steve, second by Carrie. All those in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, don't forget, please, to look over mission and vision and send things Bob's way since he's so graciously going to try once again to put something together for us. And we are going to try to figure that out next time, so come prepared. Yay. All right, thanks, guys. I appreciate everything. Have a good day.